congruent shapes. In maths, the word congruent just means identical. So congruent shapes are the same shape exactly and the same size. One definition of congruent shapes is that they are shapes where one can be or was translated to get the other one. So this could have been rotated to get this shape, reflected and translated, all those sorts of things. If you could move it some way so that it fit exactly on top of that, they'd be congruent. So you can transform to congruent shapes by moving them, flipping them, reflecting them, rotating them, so that they overlap and match exactly. And we can write a congruent statement . You know how if I write this symbol, it means equals, is equal to. One more line means is congruent to. Sorry about my dodgy writing this morning. So, if for these two shapes I write triangle ABC is congruent to triangle QRS, I'm saying that these two are congruent shapes. And if I say that, then you know that they're exactly the same size and shape. And you also know that all their matching angles and matching sides are equal. Now, what I mean by matching sides and matching angles, we also use the word corresponding. So obviously, angle A here matches angle R in this triangle because they're both 90 degrees. They're both the largest angle in that triangle. Side QR matches side AC because they're both the shortest side in that triangle. Vertex B matches vertex S. They're both the ones opposite that shortest side. So corresponding or matching parts are identified by looking at, well, which one would be the same if I overlapped these? If I rotated this and moved it over, AC would overlap with QR. One more thing, a little triangle sign like that just means triangle. For any other shape, we'd just say shape. So the sort of questions we might have to answer. I don't need you to write this down. So triangle DEF was reflected to give triangle GHI. First question, are the shapes congruent? Now they are, and we know they are without measuring, because it says that I got triangle GHI by reflecting triangle DEF. And if I've just moved a shape around, reflected, translated, flipped, rotated, then I'll get still congruent shapes. So yes, they are. And the congruent statement is triangle DEF is congruent to triangle GHI. if we're asked to name the corresponding parts on this triangle compared to this one, angle D, which angle on this triangle does it correspond to? It's the smallest angle, it's opposite the shortest side, so I want the smallest angle opposite the shortest side. It corresponds to angle I. Vertex E. It's touching the shortest side, so I know it's one of these, and it's definitely got the largest angle in the shape, so that matches vertex H. Side EF, the shortest side of the triangle, matches side GH, the shortest side on this one. So we just need to be able to work out if shapes are congruent based on whether they were reflected and rotated. We need to remember how to label a shape, how to use the congruence statement, and how to identify corresponding parts on two congruent shapes.